I'm Sue Lopez Atkinson. I'm a proud Yorta Yorta woman, and I've lived in Moreland for over 50 years, starting off in Coburg as a child, moving out when I got married when I was very young, and then returning to Brunswick about 33 years ago. My grandfather was a painter and decorator, so at the side of the house in Phillip Street there was a gate and it said S. Hall's painter and decorator. So that stood proud there until probably the 70s. The free lending library at the Mechanics Institute, I think it was about 1927. There was him, his brother, and a small group of other men who set that up. And I believe that evolved into being the Brunswick Library as it is now. When I went to primary school, it was a very different environment. It was, the teachers were quite harsh, and there was still a lot of corporal punishment used on the boys and girls. And there was a lot of bullying in the playground, so if you were different in any way, if you were Mediterranean in appearance, if you were an Asian child, if you were Catholic, if you had a disability, if you were overweight. Sometimes the older boys, I witnessed quite a few assaults on children who were different. So I think that made me think about what I'd like to do when I was older. I went back to work when my son was 6 months old because my then husband had had a serious accident on a motorbike, so he wasn't able to work. So I got some part-time work in a local preschool, but the real turning point for me, career-wise, culturally-wise, emotionally, was when I was invited to teach on the Aboriginal childcare course in Collingwood. So that's when I think I really found my place in the education world and in my own cultural world as well. Teaching Indigenous students from all over Australia about childcare. Some of them were 16 at the time. We also had women who might have been, because they were mostly women, perhaps in their 50s. So that was lovely because some of the older women could mentor some of the teenagers, some of whom were quite shy. And I learned a lot from the students. I think they probably taught me more than I taught them. Well, I did my PhD, it must be almost 10 years ago now, I think, since I finished. So I interviewed about 40 people, 30 of them being local Indigenous people, including the elders, of course, parents, practitioners, and a handful of children. One of the children I spoke to was 2 and probably 3/4, and he knew the colours of the Aboriginal flag and what each colour represented. So a lot of our children are really excited about their culture, and listening to a 2-year-old talk with such passion about the flag was really wonderful to hear, and how informed he was about it as such a small child.